Okay. All right, so we are learning this mini unit how to prove with evidence. And specifically, we are trying to prove our argument about a statue that is being placed in the middle of Fayetteville, which we know is a city on the Trail of Tears. And this statue has this colonial man and this Native American man shaking hands, looking all buddy-buddy, right? They look like they're BFFs. We're trying to prove that we don't think that that statue is representative. Now, we have collected all sorts of evidence to prove our claim, right? We have actually, if we look in Rochelle's planning, 3 categories of evidence to prove our claim. A really strong way to prove that you are right is to prove that your opponent is wrong. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be looking at this idea of a counter-argument. A counter-argument is just that. It's an argument on the opposite side. And we're going to use that to prove our argument is correct. So I'm going to walk through a demonstration with my little mini letter about recess, right? We've been using that kind of our mentor text. And we're going to look at how we prove using a counter argument with my claim about recess. So let's think back. My claim was that recess should be a part of the school day for all students. Right? I did my research, I categorized my evidence, and I said, hey, it looks like recess has a lot of positive benefits. So I'm trying to argue that yes, all kids, no matter what grade, middle school, high school, even college kids need a break like this kind of recess idea. So our first job in a counter-argument paragraph is to state our opponent's claim. Our opponent thinks the opposite. So if I think that recess should be a part of the school day for all kids, my opponent might say that recess should not be a part of the school day for all kids. I'm going to think now, I'm going to switch gears, I'm going to change my perspective, right? One of our thinking tools is multiple perspectives, and I'm going to get into the head, get into the mind of my opponent who thinks that recess should not be part of the school day for all kids. And I'm thinking that my opponent might think that recess is a waste of time. If we had 20 minutes outside at recess, my opponent might think, oh, those 20 minutes should be spent in the classroom learning. That's wasted time. So I'm going to write a piece of evidence from the opponent's perspective that says, recess wastes time that should be spent learning in the classroom. I know a lot of teachers, a lot of principals, a lot of administration whose biggest gripe or biggest issue with recess is that it's a waste of time. Okay? Now that's my opponent's evidence. The whole point of a counter-argument is to take that evidence and prove otherwise. Okay? So I'm going to think now how I can switch this idea of wasted time to prove my claim. And I'm going to think back to the evidence, and the article I read, and I remember that one sentence, a couple sentences actually, talked about how actually recess doesn't waste time. It actually saves time. There was one piece of evidence I remember that said, if I look back, I think I've got it here. Recess saves time in the classroom. And I remember that they said it saves up to 40 hours an academic year because students come in from recess less fidgety, right? They're more ready to learn, they're ready to pay attention, and they get a chance to work out all their issues and all those arguments and all those other kind of things that hold them back in the classroom outside during recess. So I'm going to switch my color to green, because in my chart, I want us to really think that now we're proving our claim. We're not talking about the opponent anymore. So I'm going to switch my color, and I'm going to connect this evidence to prove my claim. So actually, however, recess saves time in the classroom because students are less fidgety. I remember that word from my research. Ready to focus and have less drama. I think this is a really good counter-argument because the whole point of my argument is that I'm trying to get recess in middle school, and if you think of middle school, we're going to be there next year, just wait. I taught it in Michigan. There's so much drama. So if students had a chance during recess to work out their issues, to talk socially, to work on those collaboration communication skills, there would be less drama in the classroom. Which as a middle school teacher back in Michigan, I can tell you, a lot of the drama wasted my class time. Right? I had to work on consoling two friends who had gotten in a fight in the hallway. That's a waste of time. So actually, I think recess would save time in the classroom. So now my concluding sentence. I'm also going to keep it green because this is going to be part of my persuasive letter, and I want all of the paragraphs to wrap up with my claim. So I'm going to say, despite what some people believe, right? I'm going to do despite because that's one of my other contrast words. Despite what other people believe, I'm actually right. Recess is beneficial for all students, not just the young ones. All students benefit from recess. All right? Any questions about what I did here before we try one together with our Native American problem? All right, so open up your packets to your counter-argument claim. Now you'll notice, just like the demonstration the other day, you have 3 rows. 3 times you can talk about your opponent's evidence. We're going to pick one. Now, our claim is that we don't think that this statue in Fayetteville is very representative of the relationship that we took so long to research. What would our opponent claim? Say it. Jared, what would they say?
That they think that the whole statue in Fayetteville would represent Native American colonist relations.
Good, I'm seeing you looking over at our sentence frame for our claim. So our opponent would think the statue proposed in Fayetteville and you're writing down with me, would be representative of Native American and European colonists relationship. Now, don't mind all my dashes there. I have a skinny little box. You have larger ones. So go ahead and write the opponent's claim. And that is that this statue is a good idea. Yeah, totally. Native Americans and colonists had a great relationship. Super productive, super respectful, and super positive for both parties involved. All right. Switching our perspective. Okay. We've been arguing against this statue for a while, but switch your perspective to argue for it. What might someone who thinks that this statue is a great idea say to prove that Native Americans and European colonists had a very nice, happy relationship? They made treaties. What's another idea?
The colonists taught Native Americans English.
Colonists taught Native Americans how to read and write in English. What's another cooperative thing that they had together? They traded for resources. Let's talk specifically about the resources that they traded. Native Americans would do what? What would they catch? What would they kill? Beavers. And the Europeans wanted the beavers, so they would trade the beaver skin or the beaver pelts. And what would the Native Americans get in return?
Weapons, pans,
pots, tools, other things that they didn't have, right, in their culture. All right, so we need to pick one of those. Okay, one of them was that they made peace treaties. One of our opponent's evidence was that they taught each other things like reading and writing. And one of our opponent's evidence was that they traded goods and services. Which one should we pick? I'll let you choose. Treaties? Okay, so opponent might say, how can we phrase this? Native Americans and European colonists signed peace treaties. All right, so Native Americans and European colonists signed peace treaties. Absolutely. why would they not have a positive, happy relationship if they were signing peace treaties, right? That makes sense. That supports it. However is what kind of our word? A contrast word. So we're going to show some contrast, and we're going to prove that these peace treaties weren't so happy. We need to prove, and I'm switching colors here, that our claim is right. And that actually these peace treaties weren't representative of a happy relationship. They were more representative and more towards our claim, which is that Native Americans and European colonists had a lot of competition, had a lot of conflict. A lot of people lost their lives because of this relationship. So how can we twist this in our favor? What can we say? Peace treaties were broken. And what happens when a peace treaty is broken?
There's violence.
There's violence. Elijah, something to add? We were talking about peace treaties yesterday. Do you have any ideas to add to this? No? All right. So let's say, however, many of those peace treaties Michelle said were broken. And Jared said, which led to violence. All right, so we've taken what seems to be a good idea, a good part of the relationship, a happy part of the Native American European colonist relationship, but we've twisted it in our favor. Okay, so we're really, before we even have a chance to argue with another person about our claim, we're shooting them down right off the start. We're saying, okay, you might say that they had a good relationship and that this statute is a good idea because, yeah, they did make peace treaties. But those peace treaties were broken, and they actually led to violence. So, no, you're wrong. All right, so this is a really strong way to prove your argument with evidence from the opponent's side. Okay, now you have two more, and a concluding sentence. We have more time later today to work on our body paragraphs, so you're going to continue working on your body paragraphs. If you're really in that mindset of counter-argument, because we've had this little mini lesson this morning, you can go ahead and work on those two other ideas. It came up with two other ideas. Do you remember them? It wasn't treaties, it was trading
And they taught.
and teaching each other. So see if maybe later today, you and maybe your partners can help you think of how trading led to something bad, and how teaching each other language, reading and writing led to something bad. Okay? But we're also going to work on finishing our body paragraph. So if you're more in that mindset, you continue working on it. All right? Any questions for me? No? All right. You can go back to your desk and work on IWT.